live from Aspire Sports, and who were some of the top waiver wire ads for Week 10 of the fantasy football season. I'm recording this prior to the 4 o'clock games being done, also the Sunday night game and Monday night game. So if anything crazy were to happen, a big injury, take note. I will definitely update this list later in the week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content. Smash that like button if you enjoy this video at any time. And with that being said, let's get into the video. The first guy on the list is going to be Devin Singletary. This team just lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a tough loss, especially if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. It was brutal, right? This upcoming weekend, they play the New York Jets, so they should rebound in a big way. We just saw the New York Jets give up 1,000 yards on the ground against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, it was the Indianapolis Colts who are really good at running the football, but I expect Buffalo to rebound in a big way. Zach Moss left this game with a concussion, so he needs to clear concussion protocol. If he does not clear concussion protocol, then Devin Singletary, for me, is a bell cow back in one of the league's best offenses in a A-plus matchup. So he would be my top waiver wire priority if Zach Moss were to miss this game. And this week, it's really not that good on waiver wires. So if he's available in your leagues, I would try to go out and pick him up. Devin Singletary, the first player. The next player on the list is going to be Rashod Bateman. Rashod Bateman now has seen at least 6 targets in each of his past 3 games. This past weekend, he had 8 targets, 5 catches, 52 yards receiving, and he was third on the team in targets. With Sammy Watkins maybe coming back next week, I just believe that Rashod Bateman has supplanted Sammy Watkins as the wide receiver number 2 on this team. He's a phenomenal talent, was a phenomenal talent coming out of college, highly touted. So there's a lot of potential here with Rashod Bateman going forward. Really, this defense does not look good. They're going to be in situations where they're going to have to pass the ball more than ever. The running back situation is really old. It's an old group of guys. So I think Rashod Bateman has a lot of value going forward, and especially if anything were to happen to Mark Andrews or Hollywood Brown, he would then rise in value. So Rashod Bateman is the next guy on the list. The next guy on the list is going to be Dan Arnold. And if you need tight end help, he's the guy that I would suggest for season long. I've been talking about him for weeks now. He's an above average athlete at the tight end position. Since coming over from Carolina in week 4, he leads this team in targets and receptions after this weekend. He had 7 targets, 4 catches, 60 yards, has yet to score a touchdown. When he scores a touchdown, he has tight end number 1 potential. I would say like back end tight end number 1 potential, but still a tight end number 1 on this offense where clearly Trevor Lawrence looks his way. Dan Arnold is the tight end that I would be adding if you need tight end help. Next on the list is going to be Jordan Howard. And this game is still going on right now against the Los Angeles Chargers. It seems pretty clear that this team wants to run the football. They want to run the football. Currently has 17 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. He's been used around the goal line. He's been pretty good so far. So if you need a guy that is somewhat viable, next week they play the Denver Broncos, which is going to be a tough matchup. But if you're looking for a guy that's seeing work on a team that wants to run the football, Jordan Howard is a guy that I would recommend to you. The next guy on the list is going to be Deshaun Jackson. And Deshaun Jackson is now signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think it's a good signing on both sides. I think he's going to step in and fill the Henry Ruggs role for this offense. So I would want Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and now Deshaun Jackson. Bryan Edwards was massively disappointing this past weekend. He's been really disappointing for the full season now. So Deshaun Jackson is a guy that I would want going forward. I think he's more of a wide receiver 4, boom or bust type of guy, wide receiver 3, boom or bust. So not somebody that I would go crazy about, but if you're turning the bottom of your roster looking for somebody to add, maybe to see some type of potential there, I think there's somewhat of potential there with Deshaun Jackson, with Derek Carr playing really well this season. So Deshaun Jackson is the next guy. Next, we have Rashod Gage, who led this team in targets and catches without Calvin Ridley. Last weekend, though, he laid a goose egg. So it's kind of which Rashod Gage are we going to get week to week? You're probably going to have to play matchups with him, but he's somebody that should be involved without Calvin Ridley now being out, we know, for at least the next couple of weeks. So Rashod Gage becomes somebody that I would pick up, and if he continues to have games like this in full point PPR, he's definitely a guy that you can throw in there during the bye week. So Rashod Gage, next on the list. Next on the list, we have Donovan Peoples-Jones. Without Odell Beckham no longer on the team, this team is looking for a wide receiver to step up on the outside. This past weekend, you just had Donovan Peoples-Jones. He had 3 targets, 2 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Now, don't chase the points and put him in your starting lineups, but he's somebody that I would keep my eye on and probably add in deeper leagues like a 12-team league with a decent-sized bench. Just because, once again, this team is looking for someone to step up. He's pretty solid athletically. His workout metrics were pretty good. His build is good as well. So he fits that area. Now he just needs to put it on the football field. We've seen flashes from him in the past. So with a team that needs somebody to step up with some decent matchups coming up as well, he would be somebody that I would add and just keep him on my bench and see how he does. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, the next person. The next guy on the list is going to be Elijah Moore. And without Corey Davis and Zach Wilson over the past 2 weeks, he's produced. Now, I think it's mostly largely due to Corey Davis being out of this offense, but also Mike White has not looked bad in this offense. Josh Johnson didn't look that bad in this offense as well, and this team actually produced fantasy points. I believe that coming out of college, Elijah Moore, he was one of my favorite prospects coming out of college at the wide receiver position. I was very high on Elijah Moore. It hasn't really equated to fantasy production because he was hurt, and also Zach Wilson has not been very good at all this year. This team has not been very good, but he has looked good the past 2 games. Now, with Corey Davis, I think he's going to be back this week. Elijah Moore wouldn't be somebody I would go and try to chase the fantasy points with as well. But if you want to, rotate your bench, somebody that I would add there, maybe he produces once again, but this is a tough matchup against Buffalo, then as Miami, then Houston. So there's good matchups upcoming, but somebody I would just keep my eye on, and if he does produce, maybe just add him anyways. And if he does produce, maybe you start to feel confident. But right now, with Zach Wilson coming back and Corey Davis, I wouldn't start him. Just somebody I would just pick up and keep him on my bench in deeper leagues. So Elijah Moore, the next guy. Next, we have Devonta Freeman, and really, for me, he's only viable if Latavius Murray were to miss again. I expect Latavius Murray to probably be back this week, though. But if he does miss, he's somebody that is viable, as we saw this past weekend. He had 15 fantasy points, which was pretty solid. And next week, he gets the Miami Dolphins, which is a beatable matchup for him in this on the ground. So if you need some help this upcoming weekend and Latavius Murray doesn't play once again, Devonta Freeman is a guy who can insert in there as a running back 3. So Devonta Freeman is the next guy. The next guy on the list is going to be Matt Ryan, who just set a season high in yards with 340 passing yards without Calvin Ridley against a tough New Orleans defense. He had 2 touchdowns. I mean, what else do you expect? This upcoming weekend is really tough in terms of streaming options at the quarterback position for guys who are currently rostered in under 50% of leagues. So it depends. Maybe you have better options out there that are available. But right now, when I'm looking at this, we're looking at under 50%. Matt Ryan fits the bill. But it's next week he gets the Dallas Cowboys, who were just humiliated by the Denver Broncos. I expect Dallas to bounce back next week, but should be a type of shootout game where this team should be playing from behind. The defense is not very good, so playing from behind in a shootout type of game, Matt Ryan, you could do worse, so he would be the first streaming option at the quarterback position. Next, we have Ben Roethlisberger, who Big Ben next week plays the Detroit Lions, who are not very good anywhere defensively. Not good anywhere. So they get the Detroit Lions next week. This is a good matchup for Big Ben if he's able to take advantage of it. He's at home as well, so he becomes a guy where, once again, it's not good for streaming quarterbacks this week, but it's a good matchup. They should win, so Ben Roethlisberger would be the next guy on the list. The next player on the list is going to be Taylor Heinicke. Next week, he plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And really, this team should lose to Tampa Bay and be down early. So expect him to have to throw the ball a decent amount. And he does have the rushing potential. You know, we've seen it prior against Green Bay. He had 95 rushing yards. So that's always a possibility with Taylor Heinicke. So in a game that he should have to throw the ball a decent amount, the rushing upside, he becomes streamable next week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that being said, if you appreciate the content, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.